Welcome to the Kurt Saxon Show, your countdown to the future. First, I want you to take down my phone number in case you want to call. The number is 501-437-2963. In case you didn't get it, here it is again, 501-437-2963. Sorry, but we can't accept collect calls. The topic for tonight is Food and Survival. This is from the Survivor, Volume 3. The cost of food has been rising several percentage points yearly for the past several years. This year, it's supposed to rise as high as 16% over last year. Last year's drought, this year's floods, more people, less farmland, farmer strikes, and many other factors will soon make food the greatest expense in the family budget. Liberal economists seeking to avert panic say, so what if a family bill approaches 30 to 40% of the average American's budget? Some of the world's people pay as high as 80% of their income for food. Such a stupid rationalization would only comfort a fool. Higher food costs mean an all-around lowering of the living standard. Unlike inflation on cars, clothing, or other commodities, which can be taken care of and saved, recycled, etc., money spent on food is literally money down the drain. So if you spend 40% of your paycheck on food rather than 15% as of 10 years ago, you have that much less to spend on commodities which can be saved. The higher the percentage of its income a nation spends on food, the lower its overall standard of living. The lower its standard of living, the lower its reserves for research and development, defense, public works, and future planning. Rising food prices will soon lower the American standard of living to that of Mexico, and finally Russia, then Africa, then India, then goodbye USA. As far back as 1972, I wrote one of the first survival food books, which is now part of Survivor Volume 1. I knew of the changing weather patterns even then and realized food prices were going to rise dramatically. In 1973 came the Russian wheat deal, which wiped out the U.S. grain surplus and sent most U.S. food prices up about 100% in that year. The official estimates of the rise was only about 18%, but for a time most staples did go up about 100%. In time they dropped as the effects of the wheat deal were lessened by more cropland being taken out of the soil bank. Now they're up again and going higher, this time without the help of the Russians. Also, the U.S. has little, if any, land lying fallow as in 1972. In 1972, there were many books on the cheaper foods, but they were not survival food books. They were more health food books than books meant for food economy. They were sound enough in their information, but the emphasis was on health rather than economy. They were also written mainly by health nuts who had no interest in economy. Food prices in health food stores are far higher than in the supermarkets, and such books were of more benefit to the health of the health food store owners than the buyers of the books. As books on food economy began to come out after the food price rises of the early 70s, most of them were trash. They ranged from hippie books on scrounging from behind grocery stores to those by befuddled housewives telling how to save pennies in the supermarket. Both the books on scrounging and in taking advantage of supermarket bargains were and are evading the issue of the survivalist independence from the establishment. They are as unrealistic as a parasite who says he's giving up on the establishment, quits his job, and goes on welfare. The scrounger, the supermarket penny pincher, and the welfare recipient alike are hopelessly locked in the establishment and will fall with it. The main idea is to become independent of an increasingly unworkable system. This can only be achieved by cutting out the middleman, the food processor. The recent farmers' demonstrations show that the growers get only a small percentage of the food dollar. Fully 40% of the price of food goes to labor paid by the food processors. Another percentage goes for packaging, advertising, trucking, and grocery store overhead. So food, as it is grown on the farm, is still relatively cheap. Your key to lower food prices is to buy it from the growers themselves or through natural food stores located in most towns. Foods in these stores are not necessarily cheaper than in the supermarkets, but they take orders for food in bulk at considerably reduced prices. In planning to economize on food, you should take a drive around the outskirts of your town or city and meet some farmers. Roadside stands selling farm products are also bargain places. People working there are usually families of local farmers, and they're happy to sell you vegetables, not only by the pound, but by the bushel, the case, and various other sizes, at a fraction of the cost she would pay at the supermarket. When checking into the buying of farm produce, check also on the seasons when it is best to go hunting for particular products. You can then plan on getting produce and even grains and freshly slaughtered meat by the truckload. You can take them home and can them or otherwise store and preserve them, and at little cost, compared to what you pay the food processors. My book, page 190 of the Survivor, Volume 1, was written mainly for food economy and has been expanded to cover canning, drying, meat preserving, etc. It is a complete manual on home food processing. The problem is it's a poor seller to survivalists. Most of my readers seem fixated on buying weapons and tools and seem to think food books are for women. This is stupid. Food economy is far more important to the survivalist than anything else. The more you pay for food, the less survival equipment you can afford. I remember subscribing to the Black Panther, the main publication for black militancy. Each issue was full of threats of violence against the pigs. Page after page was devoted to buying weapons and ammo, their care and use, but there was no mention of stocking up on foods. I remember during the Watts riots of 1964, the ghetto area of Los Angeles was being systematically destroyed by rioters and looters. After 4 days, the rioting stopped. This is because the mailmen refused to go through the battle lines to deliver the welfare checks. The food stores had been looted and burned, and the rioters were hungry. With a supply of food, the rioting could have gone on for weeks. But the cause for its ending was so obvious to the officials that they wrote the blacks off as just a bunch of belligerent dummies with short fuses and no staying power, and consequently unworthy of further concern. The same pattern was repeated in Detroit and several other riot-torn areas. It was so predictable that later riots were simply contained by the authorities, who knew that hunger would finally put an end to it and the dummies would then settle down in their burnt-out areas. Then there would be hardly any rebuilding, fewer jobs, less businesses, more welfare, and so what? Maybe you think you're smarter and can use your guns to get food, but when it hits the fan, the supermarkets will be cleared out in hours. Then those prominent ones who have a good supply of food will shoot you on sight. Common sense should tell you that if you will have to fight for the food you get, you won't live long at all. I converted to unprocessed food years ago, and although you may prefer dehydrated foods, I chose mainly grains and fresh farm produce. It's a matter of individual preference, but you should familiarize yourself with various approaches to survival foods. The only bread I eat is the kind I invented. It is 1/3 corn, 1/3 hard red winter wheat, and 1/3 rye ground in a hand grinder bought at any health or natural food store. Actually, this is a Corona grain mill. From the natural food store, I bought 50 pounds each of the hard red wheat for $12.15, corn $10, rye $11.25, total $33.30. The prices have risen since. I also bought a pound of baking powder without aluminum for 80 cents. To bake the bread, I ground and mixed 3 equal portions of 2 pounds each of the wheat, corn, and rye. You wouldn't want to grind all your supply at once, as it stores better as whole grains. The recipe is 2 cups of flour, or 10 ounces, 3 level teaspoons baking powder, 1 level teaspoon salt, 2 tablespoons of melted cooking oil, bacon grease, or what have you, and 1 large egg. First pour 1 1/2 cups of water into the flour, then mix in the egg and salt. Mix well and then mix in the oil. Preheat a large greased frying pan and then quickly mix in the baking powder and pour the mix into the pan. Jostle the pan so the mix settles evenly. Then turn the fire down to where it doesn't touch the bottom of the pan and cover it and let it alone for 15 minutes. Then turn the bread over and let it cook 15 minutes more without the cover. If you have the heat adjusted right, you will have over a pound of the most tasty and nutritious bread possible. My test batch weighed 21 ounces and cost 21 cents for the ingredients. This was a coincidence, as it might be an ounce more or less different. At any rate, it can be considered a cent an ounce as compared to 3.5 cents an ounce for 24 ounces of Roman meal and another popular whole wheat bread, which sells for 83 cents for 1.5 pound loaf. Anyone can make this bread. You don't have to buy the grain in 50-pound bags. You can buy a test batch for 27 cents a pound for wheat, 23 cents corn, and 25 cents rye. A quarter of a loaf of this bread eaten for breakfast, along with your eggs and bacon or whatever, will give you a burst of energy which will help you to work like a horse for hours. You'll be surprised. It'll also be a great backpacking food as it dries to a light hardtack which is energy-packed as well as tasty and lasts for months. Just slice the loaves in half and dry naturally. This bread, fresh, is also delicious. Its texture is somewhat moist in the middle, like cake, even though it is well done. It is also highly digestible. Introduce this bread to your family and they will accept it, and you will have cut your bread bill by 2/3. Then there are soybean sprouts. I bought 50 pounds of soybeans from the natural food store for $14.50. I put 6 ounce, 1 cup, in a gallon jar and soaked them overnight. I put a piece of cheesecloth over the top, held on with a wide rubber band. I emptied the soak water and filled the jar with fresh water and then turned it over and let the beans drain on the side of the kitchen sink. I filled and emptied the jar again that evening and twice daily for about a week, until the bean roots were about 4 inches long. At this time, I emptied the sprouts into a dishpan full of water and picked out the live and good sprouts, leaving the hulls and the dead seeds behind. I weighed this batch and found that there were over 4 times the original 6 ounces. Soybean sprouts are the most nutritious vegetable I know of. Mung bean sprouts are more popular, but soybean sprouts are more nutritious. So for 11 cents for 6 ounces of soybeans at $14.50 per 50-pound bag, you get the most nutritious green vegetables for the price of only 8 cents per pound. Try to get a green vegetable for 8 cents a pound at your local supermarket. Soybean sprouts are cooked for 10 to 20 minutes or can be eaten raw in salads. As sprouters, I use gallon glass jars. Smaller jars won't do as the sprouts bunch up and mold catches on too well and it's harder to flush out. If you can't get gallon glass jars, use gallon tin cans painted inside or gallon plastic bleach bottles cut off at the top. You can have as many jars, cans, or plastic bottles going as you like. This will give your family a steady supply. I'm sure if you try the above 2 simple recipes, you will begin to save money and get your family enthused about the idea. You might also offer them a family gift to be paid for with part of the savings. That would give them a greater incentive to adapt to different, cheaper foods. Well, now, I'm not going to be on live tonight because I'm going to leave for the Jerry Springer show, and I'll be on there tomorrow. And they can't get me back before Wednesday, so I'll talk to you Wednesday. But in the meantime, Kerry Jeffries, my engineer, is going to take over the program, and he has just about all the information. He knows a lot more about guns and ammo than I do anyway. And so just talk to him like you'd be talking to me. Of course, don't say the same things because he's a nice guy. Anyway, so I'll be talking to you Wednesday night, but tomorrow night will be played one of the back tapes. So just hang in there until Wednesday night.
Hello, I'm Kerry. I'm sitting in for Kurt. And if you send $10 to P.O. Box 95, Alpena, Arkansas, 72611, you'll get Kurt's introduction packet. It has a copy of Shoestring Entrepreneur to teach you how to sell anything you can make or grow, a sample copy of U.S. Militia, the only magazine for community defense, and a copy of David Koresh's book of the Seventh Seal. Hang on a minute, here's your call. Hello.
Yes, hello.
Hi. Who are you and where are you calling from?
This is Rennie from Michigan.
Hi.
And I talked to Kirk a few times.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the guy that runs that electronic business.
Oh, how you have you gotten any responses?
Oh yeah, got quite a few. In fact, one of the guys wrote me a long letter with it, and I guess he got your magazine, U.S. Militia,
mm-hmm.
and he was the only thing he said he could find a problem with was the whole thing, that if everything did go down, electricity and phones and everything, there was really no way to communicate through a small community. And I suggested he might use CB radios.
Well, that's a good idea. Radio Shack's got a whole line of those.
Yeah, and also most of them were run on batteries and everything. But the only trouble with that, if there is a difficult situation, the people on the other side might have CBs to listen to you.
Well, you could always change your channels from one frequency to the next.
Yeah.
And you also, if you're using CBs, you can go to your junkyard and see if you can't pick up an old DC generator from, not an alternator, but a generator, hook a prop to it, and you can have a wind-powered 12-volt DC source to power your CB with.
Yeah, you also can use the alternators that way, so you need a little bit more circuitry. In fact, I got one right behind the house now. They got 6 alternators on it.
All right.
And so it does okay.
How long does your batteries hold a charge?
Well, I got 10 batteries down there that produce 120 volts. Then I got converters through the house where I don't have to use transformers.
Oh, that's handy.
All I do is I have a mounted vibrator that vibrates at 60 cycles per second, switching it back. That way, with that type of converter, you don't have to have a 12-volt transformer to convert it up to 120 volts. I got the 12-volt Turpin series. I get 120-volt DC, then I can convert that to AC quite easily.
You know, you might consider cobbling up a schematic or a wire diagram of your system and sell that along with your other stuff in your catalog.
Yeah, I could do that, I guess. I never really thought about that.
Well, with you lose your power, you got to have juice from somewhere, and that sounds like a pretty neat system to me.
Yeah, well, I'm really, as far as power goes, I got so many different little power sources around here I've been experimenting with. I wouldn't be hurting too bad for power.
Well, that's the trick. If you is to diversify. If you've got access to a stream, you can use some hydroelectric and maybe methane and solar cells and wind power. And if you've got a little bit of everything, if one goes down, you can fall back on the other.
Yeah, yes. I got 4 or 5 different wind systems I've been experimenting with. Getting back to this U.S. militia thing, the one thing I suggested to him, which being spent a lot of time in the military, was that old military field phones. Now that's where you can run cables, or maybe even use the existing telephone cables in a small community.
I don't know much about military surplus. Are they readily available?
No, they're pretty hard to come by, but I could build it, if anybody interested, I could build a whole complete system up for them with switching stations and everything.
Well, you could, like I say, if you're good at that sort of thing, I think you could probably just as well make the plans and sell the plans, or suggestions on how to alter someone else's existing systems.
But even the regular telephone system. Now, if the telephone system go out in the area, people can they won't be able to, have your dial tone or your push button dialing and stuff like that. But there's a way you can hook batteries up to telephone system, the existing telephone system, and still run that in a very primitive way too.
Well, that's nice. You want to give your address again while you're on?
Okay, it'd be Triad, TRI-AD, Electronics, Post Office Box 14, Paris, Paris, Michigan, 49338.
Okay, give it to him one more time in case I missed something.
Okay, it's Post Office Box 14, Paris, Paris, Michigan, 49338, and my phone number is area code 616-832-2060.
All right.
And Kirk said you know a little bit about weapons and stuff.
Oh yeah, a little. Yeah.
A friend of mine just got a nice rifle, a 50 caliber.
Ooh, is it a Bolt or something? Is it a Barnett?
I don't know who it's made from, but boy, that thing, it shoots the same shell that the 50 caliber machine gun does.
Well, there's 2 people that make those. I think a 10-round clip it holds shoots exactly the same 50 caliber round that the 50 caliber Browning machine gun shoots. And then Ivor Johnson makes a bolt action 50 caliber rifle. I've never read anything on it, but it looks like it'd be a lot easier to get. I don't think you'd have to if you've got a standard FFL, I'm sure you could probably order it.
Yeah, well, this was a single-shot bolt action.
That's probably Ivor Johnson, yeah.
And he said it had a range on it about 1,800 meters.
Mm-hmm.
And that's...
Well, that's a nice... the 50 caliber round is if you're being assaulted by folks in light vehicle or something like that, that's a nice way to put a round through an engine block and stop somebody in a quick hurry.
Yeah, he doesn't have any with him now, but he said he ordered some armor-piercing ones.
Mm-hmm.
Which would be ideal.
Mm-hmm.
You can't hide from it then.
Yeah.
Do just about anything. Well, I think I took up enough of your time. I want to thank you very much then.
Thanks for calling. Nice hearing from you.
Okay.
Call again.
Talking to you. Goodbye.
Okay, this is a Kurt Saxon show. The number to call is 501-437-2963. And if you wander onto this frequency and you don't know quite what you're listening to, it's 5.810 megahertz. And we'll wait for another call. I have an ad here, a friend sent me from California. This is a copy of an ad that runs in most of the Australian newspapers and magazines. It's called, it says, bold letters at the top. Oh, here we go. Hello.
Hello, this is Ben from East Texas.
Hi, Ben.
I've called a few times. If you listen, you probably heard me.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just calling to. I didn't know Kurt was going to be off tonight, but I'd mailed him a newsletter, kind of a newsletter type deal that I've been telling about on the show.
He's probably got it, but if he was in such a hurry to get out of here, he didn't mention it to me. So he'll be back live Wednesday night. Okay. I'm probably not going to be here. We're going to run one of his tape shows from beginning to end tomorrow night. So
I see.
I don't think we'll have any live call-ins tomorrow, but we will be back live on the air Wednesday.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was just going to report how this thing, this newsletter that I've been sending out has really taken off. I've gotten a real good response.
That's great.
And it's a newsletter about like-minded people, about survivalists, and you might say that I'm like a Christian survivalist. And I was just curious if there's any listeners out there that that like read the Bible, like Revelation and Daniel and all, and relate anything to what they see going on with what's coming down,
Yeah.
But anyway, I'd like to give my address again, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
And because the response has just really been good, and I'm anxious for Kurt. I want to see what he has to say about the newsletter and all.
I think that's great.
And it's also, let me say real quick, it's a network that I'm putting on a computer, kind of a survivalist network, and where people can get on the computer if they want to or not.
Have you set up a bulletin board yet?
No, not yet, but I'm looking into that too. But anyway, if anybody wants to jot down the address, it's SWM. That's SWM. And the address is P.O. Box 771, and that's Gladewater, Texas, and that's spelled with a G, Gladewater, Texas, and the zip code is 75647.
Well, that's great. Why don't you give it one more time?
Okay, it's SWM, P.O. Box 771, Gladewater, Texas, 75647. You're doing a real good job on the show tonight.
Well, I hope so.
I'm looking forward to hearing some more callers, so I'll let some others get in here.
Okay, thanks for calling. You have a great evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, this is the Kurt Saxon Show. The number to call is 501-437-2963. If you'd like a copy of the tapes of these shows, oh, here we go again. We'll give you that in a minute. Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
This is Charlie down in Florida.
Nice to hear you, Charlie.
Let an old man put in his 2 cents worth.
Go ahead.
On this survival thing, Kurt is right. The 3006 is the most popular gun in the world.
Yeah.
But for all these young bucks pumping adrenaline, they've got to realize that they're going to survive on a 22 or an air rifle. You've got to go out there and find little stuff to put in your pot with your rice, robins, squirrels, whatever, blue jays.
Mm-hmm.
There's not going to be a great big elk hiding behind every Volkswagen.
No, but you're going to have something a little bit bigger than that if you get accosted by the meanest two-legged predator run around.
That's true. I don't mean to run around with just a 22.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying they should not concentrate on a large bore. They got to have a small shotgun, something that won't upset the neighbors. Will probably band into a group, you know.
Well, I have a spring piston European air rifle. It's called a Beeman R1.
Right.
And it's a. I wish I'd have got a fine wood valve before they quit making them. But it's as heavy as a deer rifle, but
yeah,
it's a really nice, accurate gun, and you can shoot thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds of ammunition, and it won't break you.
Yeah, I think that, you know, a lot of us that have lived out in the country for 60 years are pretty familiar with it, but bless the hearts of those boys that are living in the city. They've got to use their brain, like Kurt stresses this. He says, you've got to use your brain. You've got to have a compass, a magnesium fire starter, a good sleeping bag, blankets.
Basic camping gear, yeah.
Yeah, and you've got to weigh every ounce of it because you've got to pack it. And you just got to think about it over and over again.
Yeah, if you're in a suburban area, yeah, you're in a cage. They can.
That's right, and you got to preferably. You really not all of us are new at this. Yeah. You may be able to make a living right there in your own neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Who knows? None of us know. You might have to move on down the road 100 miles to find a group that'll help you. So, I guess the whole idea of the phone call is to tell those people to don't do anything stupid. And think, use your head, water pills to purify the water, little Dutch oven.
There's a great juvenile science fiction novel. It's a survival novel by Robert A. Heinlein, and it's called Tunnel in the Sky. And it's got a whole bunch of neat little survival tips in there. One of the best lines, and it sticks in my mind since 20 years ago since I read it, and it said, this instructor is telling them the best weapon a man or woman can possess is between their ears and under their scalps, provided it's loaded. That's
right. That's right. There's a lot of psychology to it too. You're going to be out there alone. A lot of people can't cope with that. It's going to be dark, and there's going to be big things in the woods at night, and you just got to keep your wits about you and be confident in yourself and your skills. Kurt stresses some good points. You know, he said, whatever happens, you've got to be a part of this new society. You have to play a part in it. You can't just dig a hole and get in it and wait till it all blows over.
Can I make a suggestion to anybody out there that hasn't got a rifle or hasn't started riflemanship and learning how to shoot accurately? I can't over-recommend a good air rifle, whether it be a pneumatic or spring piston, because you're limited to one shot. And if you're shooting small game or targets or whatnot, if you condition yourself to hit what you're shooting at with one shot, you can get by with just about any gun you got.
That's right, and you can hunt quietly with it too. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, they're all good points, and I agree with you. What you mentioned a minute ago, I think too many people focus on weapons. They think the whole thing's going to revolve around weapons, and there may be a time when you have to protect yourself. It quite possibly will be. But generally, your day-to-day survival is going to be keeping your body temperature up, keeping your feet dry. I heard a guy the other day talking about, I bought a pair of Danner boots 5 years ago. I paid $200 for those boots. But my feet have not been wet or cold since then.
Yeah, and if you put a little snow seal on them, they'll probably last longer than you will.
Yeah, you get some good stuff and learn how to use it. Get you an Alice pack. And like you said, use that brain. Start thinking about it, because little details will be what will make you or break you. Okay, buddy.
It was nice talking to you.
All right, thank you.
Have a great evening. Bye-bye. This is the Kurt Saxon Show. I'm Kerry Jeffrey sitting in for Kurt, and the number to call is 501-437-2963. And I'll try to read you this ad that a friend sent to me. It's come out of the Australian newspaper. It says, personal protection is no reason to have a gun. Whoop, there we go. Hello.
Yes, sir. This is Bill in Albany, Georgia.
Hi, Bill.
The recipes that Kurt was giving earlier on the radio before we left tonight regarding the soybeans and et cetera, well, where can that be obtained? Is that in some of the material that y'all send out?
Have you ordered the introduction packet?
I haven't yet.
Okay, well, if you order the introduction packet, you'll get both of those magazines will give you a detailed listing of all of his books, and all of that stuff mentioned in the editorial tonight is in the first volume of the Bound Survivor, Survivor Volume 1. And if you subscribe to the Shoestring Entrepreneur, you'll get let's see, last time I counted them, you'll get somewhere between 8 and 10 back issues of the Survivor, and they've got lots and lots of editorials and recipes along those lines.
That's concerning the siege.
Oh, you mean sprouting stuff?
Well, no, wheat, rye, oats, barley.
Oh, well, the wheat, rye, oats, and barley, that's all in Survivor number 1.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And if you want to order that without ordering the information packet, that's $18 plus $4 shipping and handling. But if you subscribe to either Shoestring Entrepreneur or U.S. Militia, you can get that for 10% off.
All right. I think I got it straight now.
Okay, you have the address?
Oh, well, yeah, I have your address.
Okay.
Alpena is A-L-P-E-N-A.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the number is, where was the number? Here it is, 501-437-2963. I'm Kerry Jeffrey, sitting in for Kurt Saxon. And we'll try reading, oh, well, I like this. Hello.
I'm Randy from South Carolina.
Hi, Randy. How are you?
Okay. I'm going to start a small arsenal for hunting and protection.
Yeah.
And
Randy,
I decided...
could you turn down your radio? I can hear a little feedback there.
Okay, one second.
Sure.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, and I was thinking about getting a 22, 30-06.
Yes.
AR-15.
Oh, that's a good gun, but for what you're going to have to see, since they become a good high-capacity semi-automatic rifles are becoming scarcer in hen's teeth, I would get a Mini 14. It's just as good, and it'll be quite a bit cheaper than the AR-180.
A Mini 14?
Yeah, Ruger Mini 14.
And what do you think about the 12 gauge?
Well, my preference is, because I'm a southpaw, and I love the Remington 870. I've got a Remington 870 12 gauge. I don't know if they're still available, but a few years ago, Browning made a 12 and 20 gauge shotgun called a Browning BPS, and it loaded and ejected from the bottom. So you could shoot either left or right-handed, and like the Remington 870, it had an all-steel receiver, and it had double slides on the pump. So it would you'd probably wear out before it would.
I think they still have the Wingmaster out.
Yeah.
Okay, as far as the 30-06, what would you suggest?
Oh man, there's so many of them out there. Probably any one of the Remington 700 varieties.
700.
Yeah.
Okay, and a good 22.
Ruger 1022.
Ruger 1022.
Right.
Okay.
And what I like about the Ruger is you can get some high-capacity clips for it. They're still readily available. I don't know if they're going to manage to put the 10-round magazine band into effect, but if you buy the Ruger or the 1022 or the Mini 14, you look around and get you some, let's see, Mini 14, look for ram line 30-round clips for Mini 14.
Ram line?
Ram line.
Okay.
Yeah.
Round clips.
And you can get 20, 30, 40, and 50-round clips for the 1022. And they're made by Ram Line also.
Okay, thanks a lot. I'm waiting on my packet. I sent it away for it a couple of weeks ago.
Okay, I think you'll love it when you get it.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Okay, the number to call is 501-437-2963. And I'm Kerry, sitting in for Kurt. We'll try reading this one more time. Personal protection is no reason to have a gun. If you own a gun, which you keep to protect yourself, your family, or your property, you must dispose of it legally. Well, we'll come back to that in a minute. Wow. Last one. Here we go. Hello.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's all right.
Just need to start dialing way before you ever get through with the conversation.
That's okay. I'm glad. I was afraid that there'd be some dry spots and I'd have to put some filler in here, but I just as soon talk.
Yeah, I'm Charlie from South Florida.
Hi, Charlie.
I'd ordered the grain mill.
Have you got it yet?
And got it.
What do you think of it?
UPS.
Yeah.
I love it.
Isn't it neat? I got one too. I got one about 6 years ago.
Yeah. And got a few pointers.
Yeah.
One of the things is get yourself a paint stick.
Mm-hmm.
Stick it between the clamp and the table to keep the wife from eating you alive.
Well, I tell you what I use. That's good. Or you can use a couple of layers of heavy corrugated cardboard folded over. That'll work just as good.
And I got them. They shipped the model that has the high funnel on it instead of the lower one.
They ran out. They temporarily ran out of the low hopper, so you got the one that was $5 or $6 more expensive, but they shipped that one for you anyway. So.
Oh, I didn't mind at all.
Well, that's great.
It'll take about a pound or so of wheat or rye at one time, and
have you made any bread yet?
Oh, I've made a pizza, in fact.
Oh, that's neat. That's great.
And bread comes out great. You can. There's an adjustment on the front end where you basically tighten down on it to get however coarse or fine flour you want out of it.
Yeah.
And
yes.
I found getting a plain old sifter, if you wanted to make white flour out of the whole wheat flour, works rather well.
Well, Kurt, have you ordered the information packet?
I certainly have. I just haven't read through it.
Okay. Well, if you subscribe to Shoestring Entrepreneur, you will get 8 or 9 back issues of the Survivor, and in one of those back issues of the Survivor, there's a great article in there on corn and beans, and he tells you how to use your Corona grain mill to make cornmeal. And he takes takes some 4x4 lumber, and he makes a frame. Oh, I guess it's about 6x8. He tacks it together, and he puts some goop around the edges, and he lays it down on top of some finest mesh nylon window screen. And then he cuts off all the excess along the outside and lets it dry. And he uses this little frame with window screen, and he uses that as a sifter.
Ah, okay. So it's much higher volume then.
But like I say, there's a whole bunch of articles on grain and flour and that. Personally, the article on the corn and beans is almost worth the price of the subscription, in my opinion. But I'm biased.
The package came in as well this last week, and so much to read. I haven't really read through it all.
Yeah.
So it's essentially material you can just read and read and read.
Oh yeah. Well, like I say, if you subscribe to
which I did. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Well, when you get the back issues of the Survivor, you're going to wonder how you got along without this information.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And so, in any case, for all those people wondering, is it worthwhile spending the $40 on plus $4 shipping on the grain mill? It's definitely worth it. You can easily go in and buy grain from even the local organic type health food store and make flour for less than what you could buy it in the store for.
Yes, and it's a lot healthier because when you buy the flour in the store, it's ground in high-speed steel. I don't know if it's steel or anyway. It's ground at such a high speed the heat for the milling process will destroy a lot of the germ, and when you grind it yourself, you've got all the germ intact.
Yeah, I was wondering, for those other people, is there a way for them to order some of the other grain mills that are in that catalog that the company in Utah ships back with that?
Oh, sure. I guess you can order them direct. I don't think you have to go through Kurt. I think the only one that Kurt carries is the low hopper, the $44 model. And why did you want to order another one?
No. They had like a $68 model that included stones.
Oh yeah, it looks like a nice unit. I've never seen it, but I would imagine it's made by the same people, so you got to imagine that the quality would be the same. And
the other thing is they've got a retrofit kit essentially that looks like, and I'm probably going to order it from these people to take the Corona that I bought from Kurt to retrofit it to do stone grinding.
Well, that'll get you really, really fine flour, but just remember that if you want to make pemmican or you want to grind jerky or bean sprouts or something that's at all oily or has any kind of vegetable fiber in it, you want to stay with the steel bits because anything that's oily will plug up the pores in your stones and make them useless in a hurry.
Yeah, it'll absorb oil and then slick them up. I can imagine that. No, I was saying for really fine ground flour for like baking a cake or whatever. I mean, who has to say that survival's got to be painful with yicky things?
Well, it's like one of his earlier editorials on I don't think it was this one. It was a couple last week. He did one on this commercial survival food, and I guess it's all right. But like he said, the only thing really good thing can say for it is it won't be any worse now 10 years from now than it is now.
Yeah, if you can stand K rations, great. But no, what's neat about this whole thing is you could put together food that's actually, like I had a friend of mine over for studying with me for school, and I served him some of the pizza I'd made, and he said, "Wow, this is really good pizza. How'd you make this?" And I said, "Well, I start off with fresh wheat."
That's great. I think that's neat.
And it was really neat. Well, let me let you run.
Okay, well, nice talking to you. You have a good evening.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, my name's Terry Jeffries. I'm sitting in for Kurt Saxon, and the number to call is 501-437-2963. And the address for the information packet is P.O. Box 95, Alpena, Arkansas, 72611, and the info packet costs $10. Hello.
Hi, how you doing tonight? This is Bill out of Detroit.
Hi, Bill.
I was listening to a lot of things said, and I agree with everything, being a gun collector and a gun nut, and also a knife collector. And I think one thing that's really missed, or at least hasn't been mentioned that I can remember, is how important a knife is in any type of survival situation, whether for making traps, preparing the food, making a bed, whatever. And that doesn't seem to have been stressed at all. Now, granted, a rifle is certainly, a gun is certainly of quite a bit of importance in a survival situation, say if the bad guys are coming, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But also for the percentage of time that you'd need it is really, really small compared to having a really good knife or carrying 3 or 4 knives with you.
Oh, yeah, that's probably the best utility tool you'll ever have.
You can't beat it. Sure held up better than using your teeth. I guess at least my teeth anyway.
Dean Ing, and it's called the Chernobyl Syndrome. And he had, it's a great little paperback. I don't know if it's still available, but you ought to check your used bookstores to find it if it isn't.
Yeah.
And it's got a lot of little tidbits in there on survival odds and ends. He suggests carrying I don't know who made it, and I don't have the book. I'll get it for Kurt if someone wants to ask him about it later. But there's a little handheld grinder. It fits in your hand, and it's got a crank on it. You turn it, and it for grinding grains and whatnot. But he suggested if you've got dentures or something, your teeth goes bad, it'd be a good way to pre-tenderize your food if you had to eat it.
Yeah, I guess you could do it that way. Yeah. But I've read a lot about knives, and like I say, collected them along with the guns. And I think the best knife book I've ever come across is called Everybody's Knife Bible. It's made by an ex-former Green Beret. And he has the neatest things for use with a knife that you would never think of as far as survival, measuring how tall a tree is. If you're out in the woods, you're going to cut a tree down with a chainsaw so it doesn't fall on your car or whatever, and things like that. And it's really quite interesting. So if it ever gets a chance to pick up, I think it would really be worthwhile to have in our library. It's called Everybody's Knife Bible, and it's by Pathfinder Publications.
Who's the author?
I got it here someplace. It's by Don Paul.
All right.
Last name, and the address is 150 Hamakua, Hamakua, number 401, Kailua, Kailua, Hawaii, 96734.
Okay.
And just for a few bucks, it's really worth something to keep and use for future reference if ever needed.
You say you collect knives. You ever try to make any?
Yeah, I've done that too. And
have you seen Jim Boy's step-by-step knife making?
Yes.
What'd you think of that?
Very good.
Yeah, I kind of like that myself. I got that in my library. I haven't tried to make any, but I thought he comes closest to making taking the intimidation of tackling the project.
Yes, I feel more comfortable with living tissue than I do with metallurgy, but still, it was fun trying it anyway. It was, well, maybe someday I'll grow up and learn how to do it right. Okay, I'll let you go. Nice talking to you, Terry.
Yes, thank you.
Right, bye now.
Okay, the number is 501-437-2963. I'm Terry Jeffrey, sitting in for Kurt Saxon. And the The address to order the information packet is P.O. Box 95, Alpena, Arkansas, 72611. Hello.
How you doing? You had mentioned the Remington 870 shotgun.
Yes.
You said there was like a double slide in the bottom or something.
Oh no, well yeah, it's the slides that are connected to the grip underneath the barrel.
Right.
There's two slides that go back into the receiver. I mean, there's two metal bars. Now, some of your cheaper Winchester and a lot of your I can't think of it right off the top of my head. A lot of your cheaper pump shotguns with aluminum receivers have only got one slide that goes back into the receiver, and they have a tendency to wear out or warp.
They actually make them out of aluminum?
Huh? Well, no, yeah, well, if it's anodized correctly, an aluminum receiver is not bad. You got the AR-15, EM-16 are all got aluminum receivers.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I just ordered a Winchester 1300 stainless steel Marine. I don't know what that's about because they got them backward. They're about a month backward for everybody up here.
Oh well, if it's stainless steel, it can't be too bad.
Yeah, but you said that one has a double. I don't know if this one's got a double or not, or.
Oh well, if it's steel all around, I'm sure it does.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm not sure, but I assume if they're going to go through the time and expense to manufacture stainless steel gun, that they'll incorporate double slides into it.
Right. I got a Mini 14 that's stainless.
Oh yeah, those are nice. They're
very nice, but I found out one very interesting thing. In the stainless model, they don't harden the stainless steel, which they do harden it in the regular steel.
I didn't know that. That's a great thing to know.
Yeah, so I was a little disappointed about that when I got it because the ejector and letting the bolt come back all the way.
Ooh.
And I didn't even have to grind it. I just took a file to it.
Yeah.
And it filed right down. It wasn't hardened at all.
Have you noticed any? Have you got any high capacity magazines for it?
Oh yeah, 40s, 50s, 90s.
Have you noticed any, since the barrel isn't hardened, have you noticed any degradation in your
on the barrel where the
no, where you're shooting? Some rifles, if the barrel isn't hardened, after you run about 15 or 20 rounds through it about as fast as you can, it doesn't shoot true anymore until you let the barrel cool off. I just wondered if you noticed any degradation in your accuracy.
I haven't really shot it that much.
Yeah.
Kind of stuck it in the attic and whatever. But I noticed with the what do they call it, that piston thing? It blows that. I don't know what that thing is called. It comes back all the time, but it rubs on the barrel. That
not the.
I don't know what.
Not the bolt.
No, not the bolt. The thing that pushes it. In other words, if you had a pump or something, you'd be pulling it back with your. They kind of out.
Oh, the slide.
The slide.
Oh, on the shotgun.
Right. I know on the Mini 14. It rubs on the outside of the barrel. It does put an indentation on the barrel, but that's about all I can tell you.
Well, on the outside of the barrel, the thing I think of is the grip to pull the bolt back. Is that what you're talking about?
On a Mini 14, well, it's blown back. It's got the thing that goes over the barrel.
Yeah.
Right, and then the rod that comes forward, and then the gas pressure blows that rod back. And that rod rubs against the barrel.
Well, it might be the cam we're talking about. I don't know.
Okay, I'm not familiar with all the names.
Yeah.
It does wear a little bit on there, but anyway.
Well, they're a pretty good gun from all. I don't know of anybody that's had them that had any bad things to say about them.
Right, but that's the only bad thing I think about them. But whatever. Okay, that's all about I got to say. So. Okay.
Well, thanks for calling.
Thank you very much.
Call again.
Okay, bye.
Have a good night. Well, my name's Kerry. I'm sitting in for Kurt, and the number to call is 501-437-2963. And let's see if we can't read this one. Well, okay. Try again. We lost your connection. Let's try one more time here. If you own a gun, which you keep to protect yourself, your family, or your property, you must dispose of it legally. Under the latest gun laws, personal, you didn't want to hear this anyway. Let's talk some more. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. This is Roger from Texas.
Hi, Roger.
Am I on there?
Yes, you are.
All right. Let me give you a couple of good little pointers. Everybody travels too heavy. No matter, man, I never seen a bunch of stuff that they'll gather up. A good pair of boots, like that man said a while ago, is a necessity. As a matter of fact, it's the #1 necessity.
Yeah.
And then color of clothes is good. Them old army shirts, them old cotton ones that they used to sell, you used to buy them if you can find any of them. They're excellent because of color. I deer hunted for years, and they'll beat camouflage all the hell in back. Just plain old drab army green. Leave the camouflage stuff off. When I hunted, I seen more camouflage hunters than I seen people that wearing regular clothes mine years. I can knock a camouflage hunter off camouflage just quick. Anyway, I just could see them.
Mm-hmm.
But then the next thing is knives, and an 8-inch whit rock, a good whit rock, a double-sided one, rough on one side and coarse on the other. Mm-hmm. Knives is something. Light knives. They can make a Schrade Waller, kind of a cheap knife comes in a sheath, and it's a real good knife. It's got about 8-inch blade on it. It holds the edge real good, and then a couple of pocket knives, a small one and a medium-sized one.
Yeah.
I don't like the sheep foot blades in them and stuff like that. I like, my medium knife I'd rather have with a skinning blade in it.
Yeah.
In other words, like improved muskrat with 2 skinning blades instead of an old wide nose blade.
Yeah.
And the next thing is, if I was going to be out and I wanted to move quick, I'd get me a good knife and a good fork and a good spoon. I'd drill a hole in them,
Mm-hmm.
or I could attach them together.
Of course, it's expensive, but Victorinox makes a really nice little gadget, a Swiss Army knife with your knife and your fork and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, but it's too heavy. You're not going to need any of that. When you get out there in the brush, none of that stuff in there thing you're going to need. You're not going to have any cans to open.
Mm-hmm.
You just need a good, light, good-made fork. If you like a fork, I can't hardly eat without a fork.
Mm-hmm.
No matter where I'm at, I need my damn fork.
Yeah.
And a spoon, if you want a spoon. Preferably, a spoon can pass, but if you put a hole in them, so you can put a string in them and try to keep them together, you won't lose them.
That's a good idea.
And the next thing is you they don't make one. You have to go get it made. But if you really want a backpack, if you'll get you some good nylon canvas, lightweight canvas, good canvas material, preferably in about a 10 by 12, but a 10 by 10 is good, and if somebody thinks 8 by 8 is good enough, 8 by 8 foot, that's good enough. But and I don't want no hard nothing on my back. I don't want nothing like that. I want it soft. I can slide it on and go.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, and go down and have you some. Take another pack if you have to, tear it apart and get the good arms out of it.
Yeah.
The good straps, and have it sewed in. And then you can sew pockets. If you learn how to fold it like a parachute,
yeah,
you can fold it up, and you can carry a lot of gear in there, and it can get big or it can get small.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, it's not like a pack. You lay it down and pack it. You spread it out on the ground, and you pack your stuff in it, and you fold to it.
Mm-hmm.
See? And then you need some long straps that come around the end of it, longer than normal straps that come from the bottom side where your arm straps are.
Yeah.
And then when you pull it around, and then you need one going the opposite way, at least one. I prefer 2. And if they get too long, what you do is you tie them together. If your pack gets small, you tie that together. You put some square knots in there and pull that up tight, see?
Mm-hmm.
Then if you run into something you get your pack big, you need to load more stuff in your pack, well, you just fold it out and you can have enough straps, see? Either way it works.
Yeah.
So that's, if you ever seen one of them packs in action, you'll never, if you want to get in the mountains or somewhere and you need to, but see, the pack works as a tent too.
Yeah.
See, that's your top. All you got to do is get out somewhere and stretch you some sticks and things, and you got your tent, see, and build your fire up close to it. Of course, I don't know how anybody can get by without a Dutch oven, but they're so damn heavy. And I want to go to the guns right quick, and I'll get off the line.
Okay.
Let me tell you about guns. I've been fooling with guns and hunting, and I've killed more outlaw deer than most people have even seen in their life. I used to be a buck hunter, and I hunted them day and night, and that's illegal, and I know it, and I don't even hunt no more. I hadn't hunted in 4, 5, 6 years or so. But let me tell you a gun. If you can go and look around, go to gun show, swap shops, hawk shops, find you a Mossberg, an old Mossberg, and the number on it is 46B, and it's got parentheses and a little A in it.
Yeah.
It shoots shorts, longs, long rifles, but make sure it'll shoot long rifles. You don't want to mess with none of that other stuff.
Yeah.
This gun has a sliding hood on it. And underneath that hood, if you get a good one, and preferably, and the gun has a little metal between the magazine, it's like a vent rib, but it's running between the barrel and the magazine.
Right.
All right? And it's got a little push area here. It's got a little deal you push on it. You slide the magazine off, and you have 4 sights that you can raise up. You've got one sight that is a ring, and that's the best sight I ever seen. Then it's got 3 different sights for the post. It's got a wide one and a shorter wide one, and it's got a long thin one. And the sight back here in the back, it's adjustable with screws. You can have them with your hand. It's machine adjusted like.
All right.
And they're fantastic. It's got 3. It's got two down and one side, and it'll have a flash guard on it. They come with a flash guard. Got 2 screws screwed in the bolt. And if you can find that gun and equip it with a light nylon detachable sling, I like to use a sling for something else. Sometimes you need that sling for something else around a camp or something. Now, that gun shoots and don't hardly make no noise. I guarantee you I can get out here in the back and shoot mine, and you can't hardly hear it. I mean, it's a poacher's dream, you know, because the gun, if a man can shoot, and then I want to go to something else right quick. I forgot to add ropes in there. Man, you've got to have nylon ropes. You've got to have braided nylon rope. That and the boots and the knives. If you don't got rope, you can do a lot of things with rope, but you've got to have rope. You've just got to have it.
Okay.
And light nylon braided. And the next thing is, if you look around and find you an H&R single shot combo.
Yeah, those are nice.
They got a 30-30 barrel on them, which I prefer. And then you got a little short 20-gauge barrel. If you can find this stainless steel model, paint it black. It won't rust. You're through with maintenance on it. That thing, you can hide it in a stream. You can put it in water and dunk it and come back later. You get you a good scope to go on it, and I prefer what they call a light sight. It's got a little pair of watch batteries in it, and it has a little dot in the middle of it. You can flip it on late in the evening.
Yeah.
Has a little dot in the middle of it. And so anyway, there you got your single barrel gun that you can put in that pack. You got a barrel, don't weigh nothing, a little short 20-gauge survival barrel.
Yeah.
Paint it black. Make sure it's black so it can't be seen, you know. Matter of fact, it don't hurt to paint the guns, the whole guns, if you're going to be in that deal. But anyway, there you got 2 guns. If you can carry them 2 guns and you can carry the ammunition, lighten your pack down, build it the way I'm talking about, you can cover some country and cover all angles, because men not going to move 4 at a time. You're not going to move over, if a survivalist ain't going to move over 5-6 miles a day, hopefully.
Yeah.
And so just want to stay on the move. And so anyway, there you, New England Arms has bought H&R out, and they're making, I don't know if they're putting it in a stainless steel model, but they've got I seen one the other day is a 22 250 in the barrel.
Yeah.
You know, you can get a lot of barrels now. They tell me they're making them in different, tell me you can get a 308 in the barrel now. That single shot gun, no more shells than you're going to need to shoot. And then you've got the single shot, you know, I mean, you couldn't get in a firefight with a damn thing, but you'd be surprised what you can do with that little gun and how light it is and how fast you can move with it. Well, that's my 2 cents.
Okay.
All right,
Nice
appreciate
it.
it. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, I think we've got 1 minute left. I'll give the number one more time. It's 501-437-2963. And, well, I think I'm going to call it an evening because I can't, I think we've got about 40 seconds left. We're going to play the end credits here. It's been nice talking to you. Maybe I can come back and do it again. I've had a lot of fun, and you folks have a good evening.